one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
There is no second best to Bitcoin, but we are seeing some green in the charts, and we're setting up for what might be the most monumental run of this cycle. Or it could fall short and leave everybody hanging on a thread of despair. So what are the signals we are looking at today? Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Discover Crypto. Welcome to BitLab Academy. My name's Kellam. We're going to be breaking down exactly what we're looking at in these charts right now and the signals that I'm seeing that are suggesting that retail is just full of dumb galore. And we see the whales accumulating in ways that you would not even believe, but you would believe it if you're looking at the data instead of being so sidelined looking at the price and falling victim to your emotional reactions versus your strategic responses. That's right. Today's show is all about strategery, baby. We got to get into it because when we're looking at the signs and the signals in the charts today, we are seeing some green. Look at this. Mantle up over the last 24 hours, 11.4%. Pendle up over 8. Immutable. BitTensor's finally starting to make a move up about almost 6%. Pith Network up 5%. Ondo 5%. We're seeing some movement in the charts. In fact, it feels a little bewildering do you guys feel this way? Let me know in the live chat right now, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on Discover X, Kellam X on YouTube over here on BitLab. Let me know. Do you feel like it's alt season? Because we're showing the alt season index is saying it's up there. It's oscillated between 66 all the way up as high as 70, and it's just tickling right there. And it doesn't really feel like it. So what gives? Well, let's talk about that. Let's furthermore talk about some major things that are impacting the sentiment of the major players in these charts, and also how everybody else is forecasting, navigating around, chopping around, and moving the price action on this in ways that people are just getting completely sidelined on sort of the wrong activity in these charts. And the activity I'm talking about is fear and hope. Now, one of the things we got to pay attention to and we cannot ignore is the fact that we've got that FOMC meeting next week, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's overwhelmingly great for the markets if we get the rate cuts. I'd like to believe it is. So would all of yous. However, my old New York just came out of me. I said all of yous right here. But we got to look at the data. We got to figure out deciphering this complete cacophony of confusion that this market is in right now, trying to weigh historical trends against a system now that just seems like it's in an absolute uproar of just complete debauchery of information, conflicting information. So what am I talking about? Well, first off, let's dive right in here. Excuse me. We see America just got a 1-2 punch. What are they talking about? This is stock market news. You can see inflation flared back up in August while layoffs surged to a 4-year high. Not only have layoffs surged, we also just saw that massive reduction. I think it was the largest revision in history to the labor force. So basically, there's a bunch of jobs listed that were there that never freaking existed. They're lying to us. That's why I'm so about this thing right over my shoulder. It's like the angel on my shoulder, baby. That is Bitcoin. It is outside of the system, but the system is trying to actively co-opt it right now under our noses. So I hope you're self-custodying. I hope if you're a DJing, baby, but make sure that you always are rotating some profits into that other asset. That thing is that asset that's outside of the fold of all these other players that try to control everything. And we see what control does. We saw that yesterday. Case in point, I had to stream right after that terrible news that we saw, and we do not want to be divisive. I want to be inclusive to every single one of you. We need to realize Let's come together in a space to where we can talk about assets that are outside of the system, ways that we can get activated for our future and not be lost in the divisive, just nonsensical, let me argue what my algorithm told me. That's what everybody on social media is doing. They think they have the facts. I do as well sometimes. We think we have the facts because we saw an onslaught of just supporting information over and over and over. But that's the algorithm setting you up to argue like a damn fool. So let's not be damn fools. Let's talk about these markets. Let's talk about what the data is showing and the confusion that so many people are trying to basically navigate right now. We got, what is this, Wes Resch Nightmare? I cannot read that name, but something like that. Smash the freaking like. That's right. Let's do it. You do a great job, Kelly. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Kevin C. Thank you for the super chat, $10 super chat. Big love to you. And we got the people, we got the homies in the chat. Let's talk about the data, though. Again, we got America facing the double whammy. We got the 1-2 punch. We got the inflation flaring back up with the CPI up today just a slight bit. We saw the PPI come. Basically, we're getting just mixed signals every 3 days with two different, reports on the PPI, the CPI, the DPI, the LPI. I'm tired of the damn acronyms. Throw a 1 in chat if you're tired of the acronyms. I just want that technology, that is number go up. I want to see my portfolio fly. But the truth is, you can't just expect that portfolio to fly. You got to do necessary maintenance, revisions, basically rebalancing your portfolio, taking profits, buying at the right time, selling at the right time. It all sounds so complicated, but it only really is when you're focused entirely on the right now with the price right now and what's it going to do tomorrow. Now, if you are an active trader, and I think a lot of you are, because you are actively in our Discord group with the Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy, all of us together, you getting in there. Yes, we are actively trading, but we are doing it with a very small allocation within our portfolio. Everything we need to do needs to be focused on how can I get more into my Bitcoin holdings long-term that I'm never going to touch. And if that's not what you're about, hey, I get it. I was there once too. I used to be a fool as well. All of us are fools sometimes, but don't over leverage yourself. Even if you're trading spot, you can be over leveraged. Do not be putting money in the market that you need to pay rent next week or tomorrow or the food. You're not going to, especially if you're new, double your money overnight because somebody told you about a meme coin. You're going to end up just donating your capital to somebody that's already got 3 boats and 2 vacation houses. So let's be smart about what's going on here because the data is frustrating even the best analysts out there. This is the issue that we're seeing. We got the job revisions down. So the labor market is now in a state of trouble, which is one of those Fed interest rate, incentives, but then interest rate cuts, I should say. But then we also got the inflation's coming up. That's the other mandate that the Fed has. So what does this mean? Well, first off, I asked Google this morning, I asked the AI, give me some data on the Fed rate cuts. And you know what it said? I said, when was the last rate cut? And it said, well, the most recent Federal Reserve rate cut was by 25 basis points. And it was on September 17th, 2025. Is AI now looking into the future? Again, this is why you need to be careful when you're utilizing AI still at this point. Because sometimes it's just collecting a lot of information that it's seeing out there and giving you an answer. So everybody goes, that's the answer because AI gave it to me. All it did was aggregate a bunch of nonsense. And you got to be able to decipher between this. But the point here is what I was really looking for was the prior cut, which was late 2024 with a cut on September 18th, another one on December 18th. And so I included this into an image right here. This was that question I asked this morning. This is when I did that this morning. And shared what this meant. Okay, so it's signaling, and it's my opinion that this is just pulled from all the analysts out there saying they're expecting 25 basis point cut. However, the last time we got a rate cut at the end of last year, basically Q3 and then Q4, what we see in the price action, well, we saw a massive run to the upside. This is basically right here. I started this from the date of that cut. And came all the way through the end of December. And that represented an 84% upside in the crypto market. This is not a Bitcoin chart. That is the crypto market. In fact, I have it somewhere here. Let's see just exactly where that is. I got too many charts, I tell you, too many charts. Let's see, where is that? I don't even, is this it right here? Yeah, no, that's not it. Too many charts. I tell you, I got too many charts. Where is that chart? I might have deleted it because I took the photo and blah, blah, blah. But we're looking at this right here. That move that we were talking about just before. Oh, that was on the total chart. I'm looking at Bitcoin. You see, I'm a fool. We're all fools. This is what we're talking about. Because if we come over here and go back to total, this will show you exactly what I had drawn this morning. This is from, look, right about that September 18th zone right here. Boom. On to the upside, 84% pump across the crypto market. But what did it look like in Bitcoin? That same time period, it would have been right here. Boom, September 18th, which is right here. How do I know that? Quick little tip for those of you that actively tell me that you're a trader and you're an investor and you don't even know how to read TradingView. Look at that. When you move your cursors, notice on the right, you see the price action. Notice on the bottom, you see the date all the way down here. So you can just look at the data as you move your mouse. And then this is September 18th, right here would be that. And the price was about $61,000 after those rate cuts concluded, or basically those two happened into the end of the year, which would have been right here. Where's December 31st? Right here. We had the price move up to about $102,000, $101,000. This was after the price moved up here to 109, all the way from down here at 61, 62,000. So is this going to have the same impact in the market right now? Well, that's anybody's guess, and I'm going to tell you why. I am overwhelmingly bullish in this market, but I also realize I have a bias. I also realize that I feel better when the market's going up because content's better, because you guys are more excited. But at the same time, I have got a lot of money in this market. So it's definitely a lot more fun when it goes up. However, one of the things that you learn in this market over time is if you're willing to be patient, if you're willing to look at the data and not need the price to go in a certain direction, especially with an asset specifically like Bitcoin, it's the fact that the longer it takes for it to run away, the longer we have an opportunity to stack, and just expand our future along the way with our actions now. Now, that is possible as well with altcoins, but it's also a bit more like being a venture capitalist. We don't know which altcoins are going to be around in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So the primary function, in my opinion, still to this day, of altcoins is to figure out which ones you think are going to outpace the speed of Bitcoin, and then capture those moments in which you can get more growth in those particular altcoins and rotate those profits, or at least a portion of those profits, into Bitcoin along the way. Maybe you leave a moon bag in there. Maybe you leave 15, 20, 30, if you're real degen, 50% in that altcoin, whether it's Chainlink or Ethereum or Ondo or BitTensor Tau or Cardano or Algorand. Whatever coin you think is the best, I can tell you right now, you're wrong. Just own the fact that you might be married to your bag and you might have some affiliation, like, some affinity for that asset just because you're holding it. But the truth is, we don't know. So when we are looking at these charts, and I shared this regularly on the BitLab stream, I talk about what that pairing is, especially with the Ethereum to Bitcoin pair. And then, of course, the other altcoins you're looking at. I love Chainlink. In fact, Chainlink is my favorite altcoin. But I don't know if it's going to be around. I don't know if it's going to be displaced. I don't know if the major banking conglomerates, I mean, the central banks basically run the world. Who's to say that they can't come out and drop some sort of chain that then is ruled into law that you have to use this for value? I don't know. But I think right now, Chainlink is absolutely phenomenal asset that's better positioned than any other crypto out there other than Bitcoin. And Ethereum and Chainlink are kind of tied on that regard in terms of the way they're getting integrated, the types of things that are being used within it. Not only is Ethereum being a chain, also being a supporting ecosystem to the majority of the blockchain space, but then also Chainlink being an integrative tech that bridges that Web 2, that TradFi, the stuff outside of blockchain into blockchain, and then also integrating all the different data and the oracles and the CCIP and DTCC and Swift and all the stuff. I think Chainlink has a incredible launching pad for what we're going to see at least into the next few years. Now, this all gets tied into something else that's very controversial for some reason, and I do not understand why. I'm going to pull this up real quick because it's going to take a second to load. Something is so controversial, and I think it is nonsense. And the thing that I think is nonsense is this idea that you have to have the 4-year cycle, and it's going to absolutely happen. And we got to watch out because November and October, and yet it's going to end. Well, when we look at the 4-year cycle, it may play out. It may not. I'm going to tell you why. Because the circumstances that have surrounded the global financial markets for the last 16 years, since Bitcoin has been launched in January 2009, January 2009 to where we're at now, 16 years, right? When you look at the circumstances that have basically led to market cycle tops, like Fed rate cuts or the Chinese mining ban, or basically the blow off tops. Also looking at when the halvings happen. Somehow happens every presidential cycle, right? 4 years somehow happens that year every time. So then we got the global business liquidity cycles. So there's so many things that have played a big part in this. Not to mention, remember, what's a key point here? A key word: halving. Also meaning having half as much of an impact on new supply coming in. Back in the early days when people were mining on their laptops, when you didn't need some massive compute power. Now, why would that be, I ask? If you don't know this, you don't know enough about this asset class to be really forming opinions and making arguments about one thing or another. Back in 2009, 2010, 2011, the difficulty on Bitcoin mining was such that, one, you didn't have hundreds of thousands into the millions of people and conglomerates out there mining and competing to mine blocks. The genius of Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto is the fact that they accounted for the changes in network activity. They accounted for the changes in the competition in mining and also incentivizing people to mine to help drive an incredibly not bifurcated, decentralized ecosystem that also progressively got more and more difficult. The more people that were on mining, the more difficult it became. That's why early on people could just mine on their home computer, and then somebody got real smart. Well, let's use some GPUs. We could really capitalize on the GPU power. So when you look back, and this all ties into the price today, and I'm going to show you why. Because when you look back and you say, but the halving cycle, Kelly, it's the end of the 4-year cycle. We've got to sell everything because we're going to round trip. First off, I'm going to tell you, you have to make the decision that's best for you. If you're over leveraged, take some off the table. Fully recommend that. However, I cannot tell you when to buy or sell. I can just tell you what I'm seeing in these markets. And the fact that back in the day, people were getting 50 Bitcoin per block when they mined. And then it got cut down to 25 and then 12.125 and then 6. Whatever it is, the math. And now we're at like 3.0125, something significantly smaller on the impact of early days. So now we're only getting 450 new Bitcoin created a day. And yet people are arguing that the halving is going to have this massive drive. We're going to have the 1.5 year bear market because of the halving. And we're at the end of that 4-year cycle now. Well, I don't buy it. And I've talked about this a lot on the BitLab channel. I know we're live on BitLab right now, but we'll be doing this 4 p.m. on the Discover Crypto channel. When we get out of YouTube jail from Apple giving us a strike for broadcasting their announcement, hey man, you got to come on, show some love. Come on. Now, we've got Fed interest rate cuts that are coming next week. We have bills that are already signed in that basically increasing the debt. We're going up about $1 trillion in debt in the U.S., increasing $1 trillion in the U.S. about every 2 to 3 months. The interest on our debt is such that there's nothing that the U.S. can do other than print more money. Now, whether they turn on an actual printing press and send it out, they don't do that. The fact that we all got that money in stimulus during COVID was just an anomaly. That was a bit different that they're just sending money to consumer. But that also screwed the markets because that's one of the reasons we're having such bad inflation. Yet, now we're coming back to the other end. We're dealing with the inflation from all that money printing and going out to the consumer. But now we've got money that is we just go into deficit on every single thing we do with our government, even after Elon Musk and Doge got in there and tried to clean things up. There's no stopping this train, as Lynn Alden puts it. And the same thing is true for Bitcoin. There's no stopping this train. Now, what's going to happen now when we get the Fed interest rate cuts, that's going to free up some liquidity in the markets. As we talked about yesterday, there's over 7.4 trillion, not million, not hundreds, not thousands, not billions, $7.4 trillion. It's parked right now in money market funds. Now, when those interest rates start coming down and it becomes less desirable or less profitable or less, you don't need to be as risk averse anymore, that some of that money, not all 7.4 trillion, but there's going to be a start of rotation of that back into risk markets. We're seeing those signals. Now, I would practice caution here still, because even though I don't think that the 4-year cycle is going to play out the same way it has in the last 3 cycles, I do think that we're going to have some form of run up here in the near future, and we're kind of tickling it, starting that now. But we'll also likely have some sort of drawdown later this year. Do not confuse a drawdown specifically with that's a bear market and you exit as the market's just setting up for the next move higher, especially with all the money printing that's coming, the Fed interest rates, the more appetizing risk conditions that we are seeing enter the market. So let's talk about what some of those things are, because I want you to notice something. We've got an incredible buy signal. I'm sure you saw this on today's morning show with DZ, but you have to really lock this in. This is a friend of mine, Matthew Highland, drops great charts. Make sure you're following him over at Matthew Highland _. But this random line right here, now this line coming down and touching that's just a coincidence. Watch just this lower portion right here. This is the Bollinger Band width percentile. So this is a measurement of the same thing we're seeing up here, these Bollinger Bands, the width between them. Now, why this is important is because everything in markets, everything in life is cyclical, everything. And so when markets go up, at some point they will retrace or even go into a bear market and go down, okay? If volatility increases, which is when you see these areas getting wider, this area, see how it's very tight right in here? And then it gets wider, wider, wider. That's because volatility was increasing. So this is measuring, for those of you that don't know, you have a 20 moving average. In this case, this is on the monthly. So the 20 moving average, so 20 months, and then you get 2 standard deviations, basically above and below that moving average. Now, simplifying that just means where's the price on a basically 95 percentile basis? Where's the price most likely going to reside projected out based on the volatility that we've seen? Now, if we understand this, when you look at these pinches where this gets tighter, you can also see this tightening down here. This is the same thing. When this drops very low, you see that corresponds with the tightness. You see this gets very tight. You see where this drops down below. Look at where we're at right now, and look at where we were last year when we got those rate cuts. Boom, right here. Actually, it's right here. So September, yeah, it's right here. So September, boom, right here, coming in, getting tight before that move. Similarly, the volatility has constricted itself, meaning we haven't seen a lot of big moves. We have been ranging. These ranges shake out the most people because we are impatient imbeciles the world over. I saw that guy make money. I want to get in the money in the market and make money tomorrow. That's not how it works. Everybody talks about how easy it is in this market. It is easy as a mofo, but it's only as easy as it can be for you to be patient and for you to hold yourself accountable on strategies that are proven to work. Case in point number 1 is have patience. See the setups, take shots at them with the risk mitigated action plan. Okay. So this is suggesting that not that the move is going up. Now, again, this doesn't mean the move is going down. This means volatility is about to enter the picture. So if we know rate cuts are coming in next week, we know money printing's on the horizon. We know the pressure from how much the demand in this market has, yes, it's kind of chopped around, but on aggregate, looking over time, over the last 16 years, it's only going up. Corporate stacking, government stacking, legislation in support of, what were ETFs? Even just the individuals, Bitcoin OGs. Note this in your mind right now. Just the Bitcoin OGs of 7 to 10 years, people that have been in this market for a long time, they're buying. They're buying more per day currently than are being mined. There's only 450 Bitcoin a day as of right now being produced, new Bitcoin. So when people are buying Bitcoin right now on exchanges, it has to be predominantly from the people that are selling that out in the market. But when you start to realize this capped effect, I still think even people that have watched BitLab for the last 2-3 years, people that have watched Discover, I think people forget the cause and effect of supply and demand and the nature of the US dollar being printed to infinity, while Bitcoin is the inverse relationship to that as a fixed cap that we can never go beyond, 21 million Bitcoin. And the fact that over the next 100 years, we're going to mine the last 1.5 million Bitcoin to reach that cap. Now, notice price went from $0 to $124,000, $600. Okay. With basically going from 0 Bitcoin to over 19 million Bitcoin. So in the time of 19 million inflation Bitcoin, we've gone from $0 to over $124,000. Okay. We're on a little bit of a pullback right now. Opportunity when you realize this, because now over the next 60, 70, 80, 100 years, it's going to take that long to basically produce the next 1.5 million Bitcoin to get to that 21 million cap. And this is at a time now where now we have mainstream media coverage. We have nation states talking about the president of the United States, strategic Bitcoin reserves, the race to stack on a country level, corporate treasuries, ETFs. And people are wondering, man, but what if price dips on Bitcoin? Buy, man. That's the signal. And it's not just me saying that, guys. Now, there's some naysayers out there, and people look at a chart like, and Ali, by the way, Ali Charts is not a naysayer, but people look at the near term as the inevitable for the macro. In the near term, Bitcoin has averaged about a -9%, basically a 9% drop after each CPI report in recent months. So we ended up, okay, 10% drop, 10% drop, 10% drop. Could we get that? Okay, this is near term. If you are an active trader, then you can make a decision to trade that. But when we're trying to figure out, especially coming into a time where everybody's so worried about what's going to happen in this market because the 4-year cycle and the money printing, and I don't trust my government, and but this guy, but that guy. Well, let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about our futures. Let's talk about not messing this up, because there's other players out there that are doing this very smart. Caleb Franzen's one of them. By the way, we got Caleb Franzen coming on the show next week. He'll be on with me Tuesday next week. So stay tuned for that. But he pointed this out. Now, what is this? Look at the chart. I want you all to practice. Don't just glaze over a chart. Look at it. What is it? Bitcoin US dollar. Cool. Now, what's this down here? This looks like Williams percent R. Of course, I also know it is that, but let's go ahead and zoom up here and see what this is. Bitcoin recently flashed an accumulation signal that has only occurred 5 other times since the start of 2023. Specifically, the 60-day Williams percent R indicator has made a full oscillation from overbought, which is the upper bound, to oversold, which is a lower bound. Prior signals, I can't speak, I promise. Prior signals were very effective. So we're looking at the price action as it's dropping. What I want you all to do as price is dropping on any asset, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, I don't care, XRP, doesn't matter what the asset is. When price is falling, stop being just completely stopped in your tracks by the price falling. Stop being enamored with price. When price does something, that is only one data point. Use that data point and say, well, what is the strength doing? What is the money flow doing? What is the MACD doing? What is the volume? Look at all data points as indicators that you could put together into ingredients. Kind of like back in the day when you play, if ever anybody played Zelda, you mix different ingredients, you get different potions and different powers. Same thing in these charts. It sounds stupid as it can be, but those of you that get it know what I'm talking about. Price is there to completely jack you up. Stop looking at price. only utilize price as a data point in relationship to where it was over whatever time period you're looking at and how it corresponds to what the data is along with that price action movement. Then you can look at the price in relationship to the patterns on the chart in conjunction with the money flow. If price is going up and money flow is coming out, it's a fool's errand to buy that pump. Wait for it to reset and money flow come back in to signal, which tends to happen before the move does fully reverse. The point is, I want all of us, I want you, I want me, I want everybody in our circles. I want you to make it. I want us to look at the data and stop being so sidelined by price action, hope, and fear. It does not serve you. Satoshi Nakamoto is in the chat. When you see it go into the negative, remember it always bounces back. So that negative is going to be your positive. Hey, baby, let's go. Let's put that on the screen. Yeah, because I like that. That is true. But it's only based on the actions that you utilize. In these charts, we're looking at right here. Even with this signal, let's ignore the signal at the bottom and realize this really scared people. Proved to be a great opportunity to buy. So a lot of people saw it dropping. They were scared it was going to drop further, so they got out. Same thing right here. Same thing right here. Same thing right here. Again, right here. Again, right here. Again, you get my point. So what is the price action and the price? How does that relate to this indicator here? Well, you see that when this came down, bottomed here, little bounce back up and then back down to the bottom. And that signaled a nice move to the upside. Okay, cool. Broke back down, bottomed, and then kind of double bottom there, but then saw a flatness before they move up. Okay, yet again, came down, tested right near the oversold, and then boom, came back up. Where are we at? I don't want to go over each one of these, but then again, look, we've come down and hit that zone. Now we made the move up so far, as you see, this Williams percent R. Does that mean we have to pump now? No, look at this. Look at this. We've had pumps on all these. We had a fake out here, back down. We had a big fake out here, back down. Big fake out, chopping the living hell out of people that are not paying attention. If you are moved by your hope and your fear, you are not paying attention. That's just a matter of fact way to understand this market. So as it stands right now, this looks like the setup is here. It came down very oversold. We're starting to get a little bit of a reversal. But again, that doesn't mean all systems go. We got a big area of price action directly above us with the previous CME futures gap, 114 to 116. So as this has pushed up, this might just continue up. But my point here is you just need to be patient with the setups developing, take your shots. And if you are trading, be risk mitigated, use risk management in your trades, stop losses, not going over leveraged with no stop loss on, oh, Kelly, I lost $40,000 because I fell asleep with I get messages all the time. I've even done it. I lost over $100,000 in 2 trades back to back because I was a jackass. I will say it. I got 2. My hubris was lost my humility. So, but what does the other data say? Let's get into it. Well, here we go. The whales, the signal that we've been looking on, over 202,000 Bitcoin. That's right, 202,000 Bitcoin has been accumulated by these basically kind of smaller whales, but whales nonetheless. 10 to 10,000 Bitcoin wallets. So the most beautiful thing about Bitcoin, that even the majority of people that I talk to that have been in the crypto space for quite some time, they are so blind and ignorant to the data that is available to you within on-chain. That's one of the reasons why I think for those of you that don't know who I am, I think you're gonna start getting some data that you are not really looking for or not really understanding is so valuable to you. I can see the big money spending. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they holding? Or which wallets? And I might not know the specific person, but if there's 7 wallets with 7,000 Bitcoin each, and they're all dumping, and then you start seeing a bunch of other large wallets dumping, and then you wonder, you're like, man, why is the price going down? But then you realize big wallets are selling. Then you can look at the context of the situation and wonder, are the whales ending it? Are they taking profit into the strength of a bull trend? What are the signals we're looking at? All of these things we can do. In the Seinfeld voice, hey, Ninja Fourth, you have no idea how much Seinfeld I have watched. I have seen every episode of every season, probably 16, 18, 20 times. I used to just have it on when I'd go to sleep all the time. I wake up. It's just kind of like such an old school, it's nostalgic for me. But the point here is the big wallets, the big medium wallets are stacking, just accumulating over this last 6 months when everybody's just getting excited and scared and excited. Smart money's just saying, okay, I'm buying today. I'm buying today. I'm buying today. I'm buying today. You know, that day could be every Monday, could be every Wednesday, could be. You see what Michael Saylor's doing. How do you think you're going to get to where Michael Saylor is? I'm not even talking about the dollar level. I'm just talking about success in markets. How can you do it if you're not emulating the most basic thing that he does, which is DCAing? He's not looking at what the Fibonacci is in relationship to the fixed volume profile with the Elliott. No, he's going, I'm buying over the weekend. I'm going to tell you guys on Monday. Buying over the weekend, telling you guys on Monday, whatever the period that he buys on. But he's doing it regularly at regular intervals. And it's been at tops, it's been at bottoms. Now it gets a lot more finicky for all of you and all of us that are degens that are active in the altcoin space, because we all think our altcoin is going to be the next Bitcoin. Well, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. What you can do is make a hell of a lot of money in altcoins if you're smart about it and if you practice a huge amount of due diligence. And that due diligence doesn't just mean on the project itself. It also means like in your analysis of that asset, the total value locked, if it's DeFi, how much transactions, activity, addresses, fees. You should know the asset that you're trading and investing in. Know it, baby. Where does he buy his Bitcoin? Probably from Bob Sacramento. That's a good old callback from Seinfeld there. You know what? These pretzels are making me thirsty. Well, let's get on to the next data here, and that is a setup. Further fuel in the car. What is this? Record high stablecoin inflows prior to FOMC. Good, bad? What is it? Well, ask yourself this. If you don't know if this is good or bad, ask yourself, what is a stablecoin? It's a currency fixed to the, well, in this case, most people are considering the US dollar, but it's fixed to a fiat currency that is in the crypto ecosystem. So on September 8th, Binance alone recorded $6.2 billion in net stablecoin inflows, the biggest of 2025. So is this positive or negative? Well, what can stablecoins be used for? A lot of times people can convert their fiat into the crypto sphere into a stablecoin, right? You can also sell your Bitcoin into a stablecoin. Now, this is a net inflow, right? So it's my estimation that this doesn't mean it's a huge amount of selling on September 8th. This means people sent a bunch of their stablecoins into the Binance, $6.2 billion worth into Binance. Now, in some ways, yeah, they could go and cash it all out. But I don't personally, I've never used Binance as a inflow or outflow of the market exchange. Some people might. I look at this more like a setup if to be prepared for when they want to drive activity for their portfolio in the market, whether it's maybe some DeFi things, staking, blah, blah, blah. But also, most importantly, is this a setup for basically nearly $6.2 billion worth of buys? Well, we're going to have to see how it lines up. But we're seeing wallets, whale wallets, large wallets stacking, retail. I want to come back over to this. I want you to read this. Can you see this? While crypto's smaller traders, who unfortunately regularly are dum-dums based on their activity in the markets, doesn't say that, but it's true, they show impatience. Bitcoin ETFs just saw its biggest inflow day in about 2 months. We break down the continued large wallet accumulation and whale transaction frequency. So we're seeing the activity laid out as happens every cycle. Retail buys hope. The second it doesn't go their way, they sell in impatience, showing a little bit of instability in the market. Whales scoop it up. Price goes much higher. Retail buys again at the top. They get dumped on, and they don't understand why the market doesn't serve them. The market's not here to serve you. The market is here to serve the people that are prepared. So you can choose. If you want it to serve you, be freaking prepared, because we are still seeing signs with the altcoin market that we could be getting that pump. I talked about this the other day, but this cross boom right here was right before that parabolic run. Similarly, right here, right before this parabolic run, we kind of similarly got this right here. Are we going to get that? I don't know. This time is the same. This time is different. We've got a whole different narrative around the market now with, and we talk about it. I don't want to repeat myself, corporate treasuries and stacking and legislation, stablecoin. But we also have an inordinately, exponentially older orders of magnitude larger number of different projects and how this capital is divided within the ecosystem now. So I think there's going to be some major winners in this space, and there's going to be some major losers. So let's actually get through this because I want to look at a couple things. Link, by the way, just highlight this. You wonder, is it integrated? We'll look at some of the partnerships and integrations they already have. This is a who's who of some of the biggest banks and monetary and government organizations out there. I mean, Swift, DTTC, BNY. I mean, I don't want to go through this, but this, if you're not bullish on Link, I don't know what to tell you. Because then we also see that Link and Microsoft, Chainlink joins Banco, enter Microsoft and 7Com consortium to support trade finance use case in phase 2 of Drex Pilot. I got to look into what the hell Drex Pilot is, but integrations with Microsoft, awesome. And then we also got Ondo right here, bringing on major players on board. Peter Curley joins Ondo Finance as head of global regulatory affairs. Why is this important? Because he has been, he's been part of all this. Look, the SEC, Coinbase, the U.S. Department of the Treasury, Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Ltd. And remember, Ondo's already launched over 100 assets on their global markets, bringing tokenized stocks and securities on chain for global markets. This is massive, 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 massive. So let's look at what we want to see here. Ethereum. Okay, look at this. Setting up. Let's go to a cleaner chart here. Setting up beautifully. Broke through the moving averages. It's on the 3-day. I want to get down to the 4-hour because we look at all the macro. Let's look at some of the local, baby. What's going on here? Okay, price action. So have all of you already done it? Here's the price action. You see the shape. Have your eyes drifted to the downside yet? Looking at the data. What does the RSI say? What does the money flow say? Money flow to me says chop. On this time period, chop back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. We did have a larger impulse up here, but I want you to notice large impulse in money flow to the upside. We didn't really get an impulse in price action up here. So bears were kind of in control here. Similarly, the strength indicated that we're on the weaker side of strength. When the RSI on whatever time frame you're looking at is, for the most part, under the 50 line, think of it like upper half is bullish strength, bottom half is the strength in the bears. Okay. So when you have this rejecting below this on this time period, bears are in control. And then what do you see? Money flow, boom, pop up, but nothing happens in price. Bears were in control. But the difference here is you see the RSI and where we're at now. This is price actions rounding out onto a support trend line that used to be previous resistance. So as this has come into this, we also see now the RSI is arcing to the upside. We're getting a move above the 50 line, finding support and moving up. This does not mean we're all systems go on alt yet, but it's starting to show that the strength is starting to basically ebb into the strength, the bulls being in charge here. Now, if you look at this on the 8-hour, see, same thing. If we look at on the 12-hour, where all time frames are starting to show, let's get this into the strength territory. And look at this. This is even more bullish on the daily. This entire reset to the downside while scaring so many people. If you just let your eyes drift to the downside and realize this entire way down where the price fell, such a measly little, very easily adjustable, measly little, look at that, 15%. It's such a scary bear move for 15% down. And crypto, are you kidding me? Come on, we got to strap it in, baby. This is an opportunity, especially with everything we've seen right after the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act and the Clarity Act, as Tom Lee stacking $20 billion, SharpLink, BitMine, guys. And you're worried on a 15% pullback when the RSI on the daily chart never even went below into the bearish territory down here. This has been the setup for those paying attention. Know that, and you're going to win. We also see it on the ETH to Bitcoin pair. Okay, we got the nice move to upside. Oh, but it's breaking down. Is it? Is it breaking down, or is this moving down in a consolidation pattern? Okay, look at the RSI. Did your eyes drift there yet? I want you to do that immediately. Look at price, then look at the RSI. On the daily, has this broken below the 50 line? No, it has not. It's right there at that. And it doesn't have to be exactly on 50. And this is what I'm talking about. Again, remember earlier When the mouse is moving on anybody's screen, especially your own, look at the data, move on the right. You can get all the data yourself. So right here, that's about that 50. Now it could be anywhere in the 44 to 55, this sort of zone. You want to see the interactivity of the RSI. If it dips down there, for instance, if the RSI dips down here, it comes up, rejects, yeah, done. But if it dips down here, trap, comes back up, finds support, that's what we're looking for. In this case, the RSI has come down into this, is rounding out. Now they're trying, the bears are trying, pulling money out, but the bulls that are there are saying, no, sucker, we ready to make this motherfucker run. Okay, that's what we need to understand. The data as it relates to the price and the pattern. If you got that, you're winning over 99.999% of everybody out there in the markets. I got to, my new setup, my screen just turned off because I bumped my desk. Now, Link, we talked about this beautiful breakout here. Notice on the daily breakout, look at the RSI came down. Look, they tried to get you here. RSI came under the 50 line, but boom, came back above. This time, look at this, came right a little bit below the 50 line, smaller market cap, so easier to move, but this is rounding out in that zone. And what do I mean by the zone? The zone that we're looking at is kind of like this sort of zone right here, right? That's essentially the upper half or the lower half with the little region in between there. So we see the RSI, the strength has moved down and gave us more room to move up as the price moves up. Once you realize when price is up here and the RSI is getting a little overheated and you had a bearish divergence coming into that, see this? Super bullish on Link, but this, I talked about it on the BitLab channel quite a bit. This is looking a little weak. We might get a move, maybe potentially even down to the low 20s. Now this came down to 22. It didn't quite get down to like into the zone where the target showed. And I talked about that, but the bear divergence showed that the money flow also coming out in here. But the interesting thing is we're getting the breakout now. We're moving past the moving average, which is on the daily as well. The RSI has now reset down here. And let me move this out of the way. There we go. The money flow has made its attempt. If this does roll over, where is my little brush? If the money flow does roll over right in here, that would be great. Push up, bounce, boot, and then make our ways with this, making its way up, finding resistance along the way, little resets, buying opportunities, or profit taking if you're just scared out of your wits. But we got a lot of room to grow, especially with the integrations coming on Chainlink, especially considering their fee structures and everything going live in November. We got a big week ahead of us between now and FOMC. Do not get chopped out in this period that we're looking at right now. Even Pith made that massive move, and look at where it went on the weekly, wicked right into the moving average. If we go to the daily, let's look at this massive move up. What did the RSI do on the drop? Oh my God, it's so scary. RSI, look at this. It held above the 50 line. So simple, right? So simple. It's not going to play out every time, but if you're not paying attention to at least these two things, and then a little added here, the money flow, you can just type in CMF right here. Type in CMF. See how easy that is? Chaikin money flow. And when you pull that up, it's not going to look like mine, but you click on it right here, like double click on it. And now go to style, come right here. You can change the line, whatever color you want. I like green. And then right next to this little line, click on that, go to area. There you go. It makes it a lot easier to see positive money flow, negative money flow when you're coming down here. See, like negative, this money coming out. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I'm hoping I'm helping you guys. I hope I'm calming some of your fears, but also giving you tools to navigate this market. That's what this is all about. I made stupid errors early on. I've been in this market about 10 years. I should have like $15 to $25 million, and I'm doing okay, but I don't have $15 to $25 million. But I want to make sure that you guys don't make those silly errors. Be humble. Realize you can learn from somebody, but don't learn from one person. Tune in here on Discover. Watch Deezy, watch Drew, watch myself, watch Crypto Face, watch Frankie Candles, watch Randy Hipper, Miss Team Crypto. What's his name? All of our other homies. Jason Casper, Crypto Crow, Dan Gambardello, Crypto Capital Venture. We got, there's a list is long. Tradefly, Alex O, Piper Academy. There's so many places. Get a cacophony of different thoughts and ideas. Figure out which one you like listening to. but then also always get at least one or two others that you can get some varied thoughts. So you're not just an absolute bull. Mitch Ray is awesome. Yeah. So you're not just a bull because you're listening to 3 Super Bowls. Be bullish, but be aware of the risk along the way so you don't make silly errors. Ondo, why was Ondo crashing after it launched? Where is the launch? Right here. Everybody, I got people message me. Kelly, you said the global markets launch is going to be great. What happened? It sold off. Buy the rumor, sell the news. What? Okay, let's look at this price action right here. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, what did Solana do on that same day? Let's see. September. Look at this. Oh my God, Solana dropped there. What happened to? You realize it kind of is disheartening when you realize that this whole entire crypto ecosystem is a sham. And I don't mean that I don't believe in it. I do. But the fact that there's so much big money interest in the marketplace is so small. That's why you go through. Like, look at okay, let's look at Crow. Okay, this is different. Why? Because it had that big partnership with DJ Media, Donald Trump Media, whatever they're doing with that. Nice move up, bull flag. Okay, cool. That looks a little different than what we see on that same period on compared to Ondo. But then you come over to for instance, Link. Okay, nice move up, little move down. This is on the daily. Let's see, Pith. Okay, very slightly different here. But then you get into like Avalanche. Okay, let's look at this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, how different is that than Ondo? I mean, look at the shape of this. All of these have small, different news impulses that before the risk is fully on, they basically follow the same risk on, risk off narrative patterns. And there's slight variations when you get a big news story like Crow partnering with Trump, right? XRP having their case finally dismissed. We saw that big pump when that happened with them. BitTensor Tau is going to follow when there's huge AI narrative news and stuff like that, which it's been a little bit soft lately. We can kind of delete some of these lines, which we'll do later. But XRP, look at this. Look at this pattern. Now let's look at XLM. Almost nearly the same pattern. This one has a little bit more variation to the downside, but this also has a much smaller market cap than XRP. Then you look at DAG. Okay, just kind of bleeding here, but when you zoom out on this, is on the daily, boom, boom, boom. It's the same sort of spider pattern that you're seeing, this sort of just shaking people out near bottom. I still think we got some way to go. Morpho had a pretty nice pump up earlier today. I know Drew, I got into a really great trade he shared in our Discord. I hope a lot of people made some money on that. That would have been this morning. That would have been, is this? Let me see. Yeah, the time is always jacks me up on these. It would have been this pump right here, I believe. But guys, I'm so bullish on what's going to happen. The number one thing we need to practice right now is patience and being adaptable to what could happen in these markets. What could happen on the global geopolitical stage. We saw that massive impact in the news story yesterday, but also larger things that, could impact broader global conflict and things like that. Markets can shake in a moment's notice, and you need to just be smart here. Chris Klein, how you doing? Similar shapes, similar styles, similar futures. That's right. Shout out to Chris Klein over there from Bitcoin IRA. Big love to you, my brother. Let's get on the horn. We gotta talk about your podcast, but how do you like the new studio, everybody? It's looking good, feeling good. We're going to be getting a lot more content out, doing a lot more educational content for the BitLab Academy actual YouTube page. These longer form live streams will be mostly on Discover Crypto. Discover Crypto is in jail right now with Apple strike because we showed their announcement, which I don't know why they would do that, but that's fine. We still got the Discord, the X and the X accounts and Rumble and our other channels. We'll get the other one we'll be fine to stream on it again in about a week or so. But I love you. Everybody hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. Make sure you're following me over here at Kelly Kellam. I'm just going to show you right here. Make sure you're following me right here. There's only one Kelly Kellam. Make sure you're spelling it right. Make sure it's got that little Mario face right there. Make sure, it's spelled LLYLLAM. You see that? KELLY. There's about 150 fake accounts of me out there. Do not get scammed. It's me, 44,000, a little over 44,000. Get involved there. I'm sharing content on a regular basis. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And let me know if you had to buy two assets and Bitcoin was not included, if you had to buy 2 assets and hold it for 6 months from today, which is a weird time if you believe in the 4-year cycle or not, but if you had to buy 2 assets in the crypto field, what would they be if you had to hold them from 6 months from today? I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. If you're watching later, drop a comment down below. And shout out to everybody that's there on X. Shout out to everybody that's here on YouTube, on BitLab, and also across Discover Crypto and my page. But big love to all of you. I appreciate you. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in.